What's going on, guys? Boy, Yoshimitsu kinda coming back at you with another video. So I did want to make this video and kind of go over 5 games personally that I've either played or been interested in that I would love to see either get remastered or remade in some sort of way. Some of them I would even just settle for a release on modern platforms just to play. And yes, I know that there's emulators and stuff out there, and I'm wholly aware of that, but I would just like to see some of these get like a royal treatment where there's a nice little package, maybe some upscale, just a lot of things. And I get it, a lot of this stuff I can do on my own, but this is me just personally saying, like, okay guys, why aren't these at least available to everybody? So let's just kind of jump into it and just kind of go from there. Now, there are some honorable mentions that I do want to kind of get out the way in the beginning. Parasite Eve was one, Kodeka is another one, and the Shadow Hearts trilogy, and technically Wild Arms series, but you can technically play that, but I would like a sort of overhaul of it because I quite honestly I tried the first one and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it. So, oh, and also shout out to Legend of Dragoon. That one deserves to be remade and remastered, but I get that there's technological things there. So those are just some honorable mentions. Some I played, some I haven't. So let's kind of get into the list. So at number 5, we're starting off with Blue Dragon. Now, I know in a sense of playing it backwards compatible on the Xbox it's available, but I think personally that Blue Dragon deserves a second breath of fresh air. It was kind of marketed as a sort of big JRPG that was coming to the 360 at the time. That was honestly JRPG was in a very big rut during that era, in my opinion. But Blue Dragon was supposed to be like the big thing. It's Akira Toriyama's designs, sort of Dragon Quest. You get these sort of really awesome shadow monsters, and it's lovely turn-based combat with a very interesting cast of characters and a world that I found very fascinating. In all honesty, I did play this when it came out. I even had the strategy guide for it. I'm pretty sure I still do somewhere. And the thing that I do remember was I had built the characters wrong. I think I got actually like 20 some hours into it, and I had built the characters wrong by not getting a certain ability or something somewhere for all of them. And I remember I stopped playing because I was just like, I don't even want to touch this anymore. And I haven't played it since then, and I feel that's very disingenuous. Now, I do remember that the combat system was fun, but I heard that the upgrading system was not very good. And I also heard the story wasn't all that. But I personally, I don't really need to always play a game that has a lot of like nuance to it in a story. Sometimes it's just like a grand adventure and just have a good time. Sometimes you just kind of get lost in this idea of having an adventure with a bunch of pals, or you meet people and become friends. There's a lot of things that I think you can take away from simplistic games like that. So I think Blue Dragon definitely deserves a second chance. At the very least, please just put it on all like Steam and stuff like that. I don't have an Xbox, and I'm sure I could probably go buy one if I wanted to, but I don't want to buy a $700, however much it is now, $700 console plus pay for Xbox Game Pass just to play the game. I think that's just kind of I don't want to say dumb, but I just think it's kind of wasteful. Anyway, that's number 5, and again, I did play that one, so that one brings up the beginning of the list. And the next one we have is a little bit of a complex answer. It's the Breath of Fire series, more specifically 3, because I can't see, the only way I think play 3 is if I port it from a PSP or play it on an emulator, I think. But I have played Breath of Fire, and it was the weird one on the PS2 where you were like timed with the dungeons or something like that. I think it was like Dragon Quartet or something. I can't really remember. So the Breath of Fire series is something that I've always wanted to dive into because people say it is a fantastic series. I personally I don't really have much merit in terms of like playing the games. I have seen the 4th one was actually on GOG and Steam recently, and I was like, oh, that was a series I always wanted to get into, much like Wild Arms and stuff like that. So I kind of missed out on that era, and I've always wanted to check it out. And I think if Breath of Fire got that sort of Star Ocean, like the Star Ocean treatment that the Star Oceans got, I think they would probably sell like hotcakes. I mean, I don't know that for sure, obviously, but I just think that, my opinion, it deserves a remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it. Just give it to us on hardware. I think a lot of this is like, I could potentially see like the fun I might have, and I really want to get my hands on it. That's kind of how I felt with Grandia 1 and 2. So I definitely think it deserves to at least be, all of them deserve to be released on modern hardware. So that's number 4, the Breath of Fire series, but specifically Breath of Fire 3, just because I heard that was the best one. If it isn't, go ahead and tell me the best one in the comments. I've heard 3 was the best one though. So all right, moving on. Number 3 is Xenogears. Now this one, technically, you can play by getting a PS3 and getting it on the PlayStation Store. I think at one point, I think it actually got shut down a while ago. So again, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But Xenogears is one of those ones I'm really upset I missed out on, because everybody says it's a masterpiece in terms of JRPG, story, combat, and character building. And those are my bread and butter. So, and I did hear that the second or third disc or whatever, however it is, was rushed and it never got it fully completed. Now, this has probably been rehashed to death. I'm just going to be honest with you. Everybody, anytime you talk about games that need remasters or remakes, it's always Xenogears. I see that comment everywhere. So, I would like to just throw my hat in the ring and mention it, because I feel like it's disingenuous if I don't. And I would really love to play Xenogears for the very first time on modern hardware, maybe with an upscale. I don't really care. Just put the damn thing on the store so I can at least buy it. I don't care if it's in the old PS1. I like that. I'm okay with that. I don't care if it's got clunky controls. I just want to play the damn thing. I still go back and replay the original Final Fantasy VII. Why can't I go back and play this? So, yes, I know that it has its problems, and I hear like the second disc like falls apart because they ran out of funding and they had to like do a bunch of dialogue and stuff. But honestly, I still think it's now more in people's mind than ever, and I 100% think that it is something that really deserves that love and treatment to kind of be at the forefront of the gaming cycle again. I don't know why that it's like sort of forgotten. Maybe it didn't sell well. I don't know. Again, this is more of me just kind of stating opinions rather than looking up and doing all this research. So, take this with a grain of salt. But Xenogears is number 3. I would love to play that for the first time. All right, the second one, and this one I'm actually kind of upset with, mainly because I had the system for this game and I didn't play it, and it's Skies of Arcadia. And it's funny too, because I loved my GameCube, but I loved playing it for Super Mario Sunshine, Lord of the Rings: The Third Age was a big one for me, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I can't believe I never played Skies of Arcadia, and I'm like mad at myself because this game looks amazing. Even now, again, you guys have been on this channel who are tuning in, or if you're tuning in for the very first time, I love the chunky PS1 style graphics. It's like my favorite thing about that era. I love the sort of blockiness of the textures. I even have the little Final Fantasy figures from the original with their like chunkiness to it. So like, I am a sucker for those style of graphics, and Skies of Arcadia, from what I've heard, has like everything as a JRPG like gamer would love. A great story, fun combat, awesome upgrading system, fantastic characters, and a colorful world to explore. Like, this is just ripe. It's ripe for a re-release, a remaster, a remake. Just put the damn thing out there. Even, you don't even gotta do nothing. Just put it out there so we can play it. I don't care. And it's disappointing to me that I can't seem to play it other than an emulator. And I get it, and this, I'm sure, has been a conversation to death. Just emulate it, you can do better and you can make it your own. I get that, but I don't know, I'm not an emulator kind of guy. I've tried it before. It's just, something just feels off, and it takes a lot of work to get it up. I'm kind of lazy, I'll just be honest with you. Plus, I would also like to see them just do their like, they want to upscale. They want to maybe put some cut content that was lost. I'm sure, if they invested the time, it could be a fantastic game. And I'm so mad I never played it. It deserves to be out there because, God, I need it. So Skies of Arcadia is number 2. The pirate adventure, the sort of airship thing. It's so fascinating to me how I love pirates and the fact that they're like in the air, and it reminds me of Rogue Galaxy a lot. Shout out to Rogue Galaxy, super underrated game. It reminds me of Rogue Galaxy, but in a much more like grandiose style. So I definitely think Skies of Arcadia deserves a re-release of some kind. And then finally, at number 1, we have my personal lost JRPG is Lost Odyssey. Now, personally, I think Lost Odyssey is one of those games that just didn't get the shine it deserves. And I think it's really underrated. I think as a game, the story is absolutely fantastic. You get like you follow this guy named Kane who's like an immortal, and he's like kind of like going through the life he has lived as an immortal, and you learn all these stories about certain parts of his life, and some of them are so tragic and so heartbreaking that like you start tearing up. I really love the sort of political games that were being played. I don't really remember much about the main story. I do remember that where it was going was very interesting to me. I just unfortunately had stopped. I think I remember, and the one thing that sticks out to me about this game was it was four discs, and they stacked each disc on top of each other, and then they put the last disc in like a little disc holder. So it was a very strange way to package it. But I think in terms of the world building that Lost Odyssey had, and the characters and the sort of political landscape and the mini stories, I think it deserves a re-release, and it deserves a full, honestly, remake with 60 FPS upscale, restore cut content, get rid of the disc thing. It deserves it, in my opinion. That's, again, my opinion. And I think what's really disappointing, and from what I remember, it was the combat that I really didn't like, but I can't really recall that much of how much of the combat I liked and didn't like, because this was I played it way back in the day. Sound old saying that, my God. I think personally it's a very underrated game in terms of all of the things I'd mentioned, but I also really like, and this is going to sound kind of strange, I really like the color palette of the game. It's very muted. You kind of have that sense of sort of dread, and like there's like this sort of melancholic-esque vibe to it, which you don't get a lot of those, I think, nowadays. I think you do get them, but they lean more towards like the darker ones. I get the criticism of colors like being muted, that is kind of boring, but I don't know, it just sort of worked in that game to where everything felt so like just sad, and it just felt like a really like tough journey to go through. So I think personally, Lost Odyssey deserves another second, third chance. Even make Lost Odyssey 2. Who cares? I would love that. Never finished it though. So now I did want to say that there are plenty of games out there that I obviously didn't mention that deserve to get remade. And again, this is just my personal top 5 based on what I've seen and what I've played. I'm sure, like I said, if there's other things that look interesting, I could add it to the list too. Who knows? Maybe I'll make this game again or this video again in like 5-10 years, and then it'll be different games. So and those are my top 5 games that I want remade and remastered. We got Blue Dragon, Breath of Fire, the series, Xenogears, Skies of Arcadia, and Lost Odyssey. So that's my top 5. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And, let me know down in the comments below what game deserves a remake. Do you agree with this one right here, or should something else get remade? So I'll sign off for the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. Bye-bye.